All right, welcome to this version of Zero to Hero from Chaos. And hello, everybody. I'm hoping you are all very well. Just like last time, we're doing this with, I have a couple of guests with me. And first up is Tsvetan from Redvertex. Tsvetan, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi guys. I'm very happy to be part of this event. My name is Tsvetan Stoykov, and I'm part of the team of Redvertex, where I work as a CG artist and also as associate director. So my job basically is to run a team, and I'm also responsible for all the educational events that we do. So that's about it for an introduction.
All right, cool. And also we have Age with us, who does a lot of YouTube stuff. You might have seen her there. Say hello, Age.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Aga, and I'm a CG artist, and probably some of you may know me from YouTube channel Arvis Artist, as Nicklas said. So yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. And last but definitely not least, we have Abdul from with us as well. Sorry.
Hello, my name's Abdul. I'm from, I work at the University of the Arts London. I've been in education probably for about, I got an award last week, 20 years. And I've been teaching a number of different digital tools. My main job there is teaching V-Ray and visualization and 3D, 3D processes. So thank you.
All right, very cool. And my name is Nicklas Byriel. I work now at CG Spectrum as head of visualization, where I'm about to do a lot of new courses for them in terms of ArcVis and general visualization. I've been here quite a few times before, at least in Chaos, in the realm of Chaos. So I'm sure quite a few of you probably already have heard my introduction a million times by now. So great. All right, so I think that we should just start off with listening to what Tsvetan has to talk about. So Tsvetan, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. So today I will talk about a few topics. Basically, how we are seeing as part of a big company, how we have our process of selecting people that are able to join our team. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yeah, all is good.
Perfect. Let me do it a full screen. What about now?
Still good.
Perfect. Okay, so I will give you guys a few tips about how to secure your dream career in the context of a bigger company. We do have some very strict processes where it comes to hiring. So the tips that I will give you hopefully will help you out, maybe not just in our company, but as a general tips that will help you guide your career further and probably higher than what you have now. And also, I'm very thankful to be part of this Chaos community because I see that there is a lot of people trying to achieve very great level of their visualizations, and the quality that they are achieving is amazing. And the whole community is very supportive, which is all great, and it's in line with our values of our company to be kind, to help each other. So this is a perfect fit, I should say. So a few things about the company to give you a bit of a perspective and context of who we are. Currently, we are on the market for the last 15 years or close to 15 years, and we currently employ about 200 people worldwide. So we have 5 office locations. Our main location, where am I sitting now, is in Sofia in Bulgaria. We also have an office in Burgas, also in Bulgaria. We have office in Dubai, office in Belgrade in Serbia, and of course our newest office in London in the UK. And this team of 200 plus artists are creating a lot of interesting images. We are focused on obviously on artworks, but we are focused on creating images, creating animations. We have a separate team within the company that is focused more on creating all the animation details and taking from the step from CGIs to creating animations where this is required. And we have also a VR team that is creating VR experience. So we are basically covering the whole process of creating the visualizations, the whole process. We got it. And also there is a new thing that we are doing currently, which is taking the whole branding and identity creation and marketing tasks that are required often when you're creating, for example, a launch for a new project. So we are creating this as well. So we may call ourselves a one-stop shop where you have the whole process and the whole project taken over and taken care of from the start to the very end of, say, a marketing campaign or a project launch or whatever. And just to give you a few examples of what we do and what a team of 200 people can do. So we are going to see some images, right? I will start off with a few of our biggest and newest projects that we do around the world. We do a lot of aerial shots, a lot of scenes where we do have a lot of detail. This is in these situations, it comes very handy to have a lot of people on the team, because you can dedicate a 10-person team to work on any specific task. This, for example, is in Mecca in Saudi, where you have this image covers at least 10 kilometers of space. So you have to have a lot of people that are doing different part of the design, different part of the images. And this is very helpful to work on this large scale project. Also, this gives us the flexibility to rearrange people and create a team that will work on a project urgently, so we can cover big projects very fast, which is a lot of people are appreciating this when they are contacting us. This is a project in Bahrain, where the land is very sparse, and people are trying to create artificial islands. So we were tasked to do this set of visualizations where we have to show where the new living part of the city will be, because basically Bahrain is a small country where you have the city and the oil wells and nothing in between. So they have to build in the cities, obviously. We are often tasked with creating a lot of projects where you have the horizon of completion 10 to 20 years ago, like from now, sorry. When you have these time frames, you can envision a lot of like futuristic projects that we are involved in. For example, this project is also in Saudi. This is the Line project, where they are creating a city which is 180 kilometers long, and it's very thin. Basically, you are creating a very thin line, very long thin line, and in between, I think it's less than 500 meters in space. You have to create all the living and the business quarters and all the communication between these areas. So we are involved deep in these projects as well. And we are going a little bit to an eye-level perspective where we are creating these eye-level images. This is also from the previous images, the previous image that we saw. This is a human eye-level shot where we have obviously the mandatory Cybertruck as a prop on the front. We also do a lot of a lot of images that are a lot of images that are more or less marketing oriented, where we have the project for sure, but this is not the main focus of the project itself. It's the more the lifestyle that we are creating. So we have pristine beaches, we have a lot of sea life showing, a lot of activities going on. We want to create with our projects, we want to create very nice atmosphere that will sell the project, which is at the end of the day the whole purpose and the whole focus of the ArcViz business. We are also creating, by the way, this is a very nice and interesting project. This is a private zoo for tigers. In the country that we are creating this project, you are not allowed to have tigers unless you create a semi-open space that it's available for the general public, where you can see the tigers in some enclosures that you have created for them. So a top tip when you are buying a lot of tigers, you have to secure a space for a lot of people to see them. So also we are working on marketing images. For example, this particular image was created from the ground up as a marketing project, where we are choosing models according to the light that we have. So we are doing a lot of photo sessions. This could be happen in-house because we have a green box where we can do this, or most often we are using different professional studios where we are employing different photographers and different models depending on the situation. Or also we are also employing actors because on certain scenarios, it's important to have not just a beautiful person in the image, but this beautiful person have to play some role in a more broad sense, in a more broad storyboard that we are creating. Usually these are sets of like 50 images or even more, where we are also partnering very often with marketing agencies. So we are constantly communicating with a lot of different content creators that are discussing with us the script, what we have to show, where we have to put the people, what type of people are we going to use, so we can convey the idea for each specific image. And in this case, I would say that the architecture and the project design, it's more like a background, a setting for a story to happen, you know. So we are also considering this as well. We have a lot of projects done currently for Saudi, where they are developing a lot of different projects, and these projects are going in different directions. So you have the more traditional, like you are seeing now, or the ultra high tech that you saw before. So you have both ways. And also we are doing from time to time a bit of a concept projects. People are approaching us with the tasks to do. Basically, this is usually for contests, where we are also helping sometimes with the design. So the client may come to us with semi-finished design or some rough idea, and part of our job is to bring this rough idea to higher detail. This is important, and I will further explain in my presentation why and how we can do it, basically. This is also from Saudi, also ultra high-end and high-tech project. And now, what is the general setting and the offices? A few pictures from our main office in Sofia, and also a few pictures from our offices in Dubai, in London, and also in Serbia. We have a lot of different international talents that are working for us. Obviously, when we are talking about the offices in London or in Dubai or in Serbia, we are employing people from the particular country, but also we have a mix in Sofia's office or and in the international offices, a mix of different nationalities. So we are very open for people from all around the world. We have people from India, we have people from UK, we have people from Dubai, from Pakistan. Like, we are open to everybody that is willing to put up the work and do a great job, basically. Other than that, we don't have any restrictions. And it may sound as a cliche, but we do think that the people that we have, the people that we employ, are our best and biggest asset. So we are always investing in them. Whenever they show good results, we try to promote them not just financially, obviously, but to give them opportunity to grow. They can grow as an experts if they want to explore, for example, some specific software that can help us. If they want to grow further in the, let's say, people management area, we can also give them this opportunity. It's basically depends on them. But we do as much as we could to support all of the people that are working for us. Because if we are not there, and if we are not the people, we are just an office full of computers, you know. So basically the team, it's built mainly of architects, of landscape architects, interior designers, and also fine art illustrators and painters and people that are doing video post-production. So we cover a lot of specialties here. And for us, it's important to employ people that are that have the understanding of what we do, of the topic that we are doing, because it's very, it's very specific. So basically, we work in separate teams. There are a lot of 3D teams that are full of 3D artists. They are doing basically the 3D work. They're doing the initial modeling. They are doing the camera composition. They are doing the lighting and the shading. After they are done with their beauty pass and their raw renders, then the post-production artists came, and they are working on building different moods for the images, adding people, and generally upgrading the whole look of the image. And also, this gives us the opportunity not just to work faster, but also to have consistency within a single project. And this is also something that our clients are very happy with, that if we have to send 50 images to them, they will all look like part of a single set, which is, as you can guess, very important. You cannot allow yourself to have differences in quality, and inconsistencies in quality, and inconsistencies in the final post-production. We also, as we are doing animations, we have a few post-production team that is working on the stuff like infographics and color corrections for the animations, adding people, adding music, text, whatever you have to do, basically. So having this in mind, I will give you a few tips that are working not just for our company, but you can take it and be sure that other companies are looking for these qualities in their prospective employees as well. So tip number one should be that you should be passionate about the things you render. As I said before, we are team of mainly architects, interior designers, landscape artists, landscape architects. So basically, people that know what to do, know their topic, because if you don't like what you render, you're not into architecture, you're not into design. Having constant changes on the design phases and having the need to always fix some comments on the buildings, this will wear you out. Like we are not doing character modeling or something connected to the gaming industry. So if this is your thing, I would suggest that you have to look somewhere else. If you are going to work in the ArcVis industry, you have to have at least some interest, if not passion, for architecture and for design. This is very important, and this is the base that you can build your career on. And also having some education, I would say for us it's not a requirement, because we have a lot of people in the office that are not architects per se or have the correct education, and they are doing very well. But it helps because it can help you when you are stuck or when you have a lot of blank spaces that you have to fill. It will help you if you have education in architecture and you know how to create a facade, for example, or you're into interior design or you have interior design background and you know how to add a few touches to the interiors to make them pop. This is also very helpful. So if you have this background, it's better. Also, sorry, yes, 3 minutes. I have 3 minutes.
Roughly.
Okay. I have also 3 more advice, so I should be quick. So tip number 2 is very important. Be a true team player. We do, as I said, we have 200 people, and every image is done by at least 2 people. We have 3D artists and you have post-production artists. So if these 2 people cannot communicate and they are not team players, this is a setting for disaster. And you should always remember that united we stand, divided we fall. This is part of our philosophy. So if you're not willing to put up with different people and work with them, you know, you are bound to be a freelancer for life and work only for yourself, which has, you know, disadvantages, should I say. Tip number 3, be kind. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but we do have to tell it. At least in our offices, we have zero tolerance for any behavior that will spoil the whole fun for everybody. We have to be focused on our main task, which is helping our clients, and not to be focused on internal turmoils or whatever. So having the right attitude, I would say it's very, very important. Never stop learning. New technologies will come by. New versions of Byriel, new versions of Corona will come every year, I hope. And you have to be on the top. At the very least, you have to know what is new, what's the new tool that you can use, and how to import it in and place it in your pipeline, basically, so you can work faster and better. Also, having all or most of the resources for free, it's no excuse if you consider this that you're not on top of your game and your knowledge. And speaking with knowledge, sharing the knowledge that you already have, it's crucial, and it's crucial in our offices. We are all having people that are coming that are beginners or they are at the start of their career. So basically the goal of each of their teammates is to help them grow. as quickly as possible. It's obvious they can help you after you teach these people. They can help you, and they can share your workload. I mean, it's obvious, but don't hoard knowledge, share it. And do I have 1 more minute? Perfect. Okay, want to get on board with us? We have fairly straightforward procedure. You come to us with some sort of resume and some sort of portfolio. Based on what we are seeing, we can either offer you the chance to do an internship with us, or to hire you directly with a working contract in one of our offices. In each of these scenarios, we will give you a test task. After you complete it, and if you complete it successfully, we will do a short video interview. This will be basically for us to know each other better, and also to ask you a few general technical questions to know you better as a professional. And after this video interview, basically we will do a final verdict and say yes or no for this person in particular. And finally, we are also doing, we have our own academy, which is called the Lighthouse. You can check it in the link that I will just keep very quickly. So the lighthouse.academy, it's the link where you can find a lot of information. And the important thing is that we are starting an international academy starting from this year, and for the next year we will have online and in-class courses if you want. Okay, I'm done. Thank you
No
very
problem.
much.
Thank you so much, Tsvetan. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Before I forget, I actually had to, I want to plug the fact that Chaos is doing a Chaos student showreel. So your work could be featured, and they want your work to get uploaded, and they want to feature you. So you can get the chance to do that. They're looking for students whose projects is made with V-Ray, Corona, or Enscape. And the showreel in general is a good way to get exposure and maybe get some reach and visibility and so on. So yeah, it'll definitely be a good way to get your name out there and get noticed probably, and yeah, all of these great things. So for sure, make sure to go there. The link for the submit your art is on the chat right now from Emma. She also linked the Lighthouse Academy for Tsvetan, so you can go check it out easily. But yeah, for sure, go to Chaos website, be sure to check the full information of everything. And if you use something like Chaos, V-Ray, Corona, Enscape, all of these things, then you're perfectly relevant to just try and submit your work. You know, you'll never know if you get featured or not.
It sounds very nice. We will definitely check on this showreel, by the way.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be a good way for companies like Redvertex and so on to help figuring out who's doing cool things and so on. So it's definitely something you can be sure about that companies will actually use as well when they get posted. So for sure. All right. So next up is Agnieszka. So let's see what she has to
Can you hear me?
Yeah, all is good.
Okay, I just share the screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you so much for making me a part of this event. I hope you learned a lot. I've already introduced myself, so I just skipped this slide. In this presentation, I will cover what options you have as 3D artist. I will help you a little bit with deciding which option is the best for you. Then we go through getting a dream job. And finally, I will tell you a little bit about how you can level up your career. So let's begin. Every success in life starts with setting clear vision, having a clear goal of what we are aiming for. You need to know exactly what do you want from life. Otherwise, everything becomes wishy-washy and you lose your focus. So you need to answer these questions. Who do you want to be? And as a result, what do you want to do? And it will be easier, like if you are here with us, I think I can assume that you consider or maybe already decided to become a CGI artist. And I will focus on this today. So answering these questions will be way easier if you know what options you have. So let me help you a little bit with that. So you can work full-time in the company. You can work in the office. You can work remotely. Some companies also offer hybrid working, which is a couple of days in the office and a couple of days from home. It became extremely popular during COVID and after COVID, so plenty of options. Second one is starting own RV studio. And finally, starting freelancing. So you are still on your own, you are an independent contractor, but you don't really hire people, you work alone. And here you have two options. You can look for your own clients or you can work for other companies. So you are a subcontractor. By the way, you can be also a subcontractor when having your own RV studio. So as you know the options, now it's time to decide what options to choose. And you might think that it's hard and you have no idea what is the best. The quick answer is that there is no better or worse choice. It all depends on what works better for you. Everything has pros and cons, but at the end of the day, you will be one who will be doing that. So it will be way easier if you answer this question. What do you prefer, freedom or safety? What is more important for you? What do you value the most, freedom or safety? Think about it. If your choice is freedom, so you want to have the possibility to decide, being a decision-making person, then working on your own, either having your own company or freelancing, will be the best option for you. But you need to remember that everything comes with consequences, and business is business, and it can be unpredictable. You will have great times, but the bad one can come as well. And you need to be aware of that, and you need to be prepared. So to sum up, it doesn't give you the guarantee of safety. And if safety is the most valuable for you, so you want to have stability, you want to have month-to-month salary, then choosing full-time job will be probably better for you. And again, you need to remember that you have no control. You give this control to somebody else, and there are limits of this option. And you might think that there is a third option, some sort of balance between freedom and safety. So for example, choosing full-time during working hours and taking some extra freelancing jobs after hours. And for sure, you will get stability from the full-time position, and you can earn even more by taking some freelancing jobs. So you maybe feel even more safety. But do you really have freedom? Not really, because you have not too much free time and you are still chained to a specific place. So you need to answer this question to find the main direction, to filter the options. But if you want to know exact answer, you need to ask yourself more specific questions. For example, do I want to travel a lot? Or maybe I want to be in one place. Do I want to take responsibility only for myself? Or am I willing to take responsibility for others as well? So this main question about freedom and safety give you the main path, but you need to ask more specific questions if you want to choose the exact answer. I think that most of you will choose safety rather than freedom, so I will focus on this today. So you want to be a full-time employee, and I will tell you how you can get a dream job and how you can level up your career. I will start with getting a dream job. Good news, it's not as hard. Basically, in our case, what you need is a great portfolio. This is your biggest asset. And how to get this? It's quite simple. You need to learn new skills, you need to work hard. I'm a true believer that with hard working, we can do everything we want in life. We can reach any goal. And on top of that, you need to practice, 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 because learning is not enough. You need to implement the skills if you want to get the results. And on top of that, you need to work on your recognition in the field. So, for example, you can post your works on social media, or maybe be active in some industry forums, or post on some platforms where other people from the industry are. So there are plenty of options. And this actually is an easy part. The more difficult question is how to level up your career, and not just once, but how to constantly level up your career. And it comes with a couple of values I will tell you a little bit about. So first one is attitude, your attitude to work. So you need to remember that people always remember extremes. For example, positive and negative. And you want to be remembered as a person with a positive attitude. Even neutral is not enough, because if nobody notices you, it doesn't really matter. You are invisible. And you for sure don't want to be perceived as a person with negative attitude to work. So this, meaning your attitude, may be more crucial than your actual skills. You may be the best artist in the world, but if your attitude to work is negative, nobody will want to work with you. And you can always learn new things, but changing your attitude involves way more work, and people intuitively know it. And this is why they don't want to work with people with negative attitude. The second thing is effort. If people around you see that you do everything you can to finish before deadline, to be really part of the company, to give some great ideas, to represent the company in the best possible way, it won't be unnoticeable. The thing is that most people want to put in minimum effort and get everything. For example, working from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., just do their job and leave, nothing extra. The thing is that most people are not hardworking. And is it bad? It doesn't really matter. What matters is that this is opportunity for you to shine. Because if you put extra effort, for example, maybe stay a few times a little bit longer to be sure that you finish before deadline, or maybe offer some help in crisis situation in the office, or learn new skills to make sure your workflow is faster, or you do better images. I'm sure you will get recognition. Sooner or later, you will get there. And if you want to get noticed, you need to work harder than everybody else. It's as simple as that. And finally, improvement. If people around you see that you have an ambition for constant growth, it won't be unnoticeable. So sort of the willingness to constantly improve, to getting better, to make a progress. So answering the questions, how to make yourself better, what to do to improve the company, how to solve problems, how to work faster, how to do better images. So constant thinking about growth, about making progress, about improvement with combination of the other two values will give you the guarantee that you can level up your career, not just once, but constantly level up your career. And important thing, perhaps the most important from the whole presentation. If you're an employee, you need to look from your boss's perspective, not from your perspective, but from your boss's perspective. And it comes with that you need to have an idea what the business is about. So if you want to get recognition, if you want to be noticed, you need to change your point of view. Let me quickly explain this. Business is not the hobby. It's awesome. It's a perfect scenario if people do what they love. This is a really great thing. But business is simple. You need to earn more than you spend. And as a result of that, you as an employee are a valuable asset for your boss only if he can earn money from your work. So you don't need to only do great images. It's really important when you want to be hired. Your great portfolio is the biggest asset, as I mentioned previously. But if you are already hired, you need to, on top of that, you need to make it fast enough. You need to know how to make clients happy, so your boss will earn commission from your work. And you might think that it's not fair, maybe that it shouldn't be like that. But this is life, and I really want to give you some honest advice. So I would take this one really seriously. And by the way, this is why so many artistic businesses collapses, because they start their own businesses and look at this from their perspective, from the perspective of the artist, instead of taking into consideration the business aspects of the field. If you want to be successful in business, you need to understand the rules that are played there and play according to the rules, not making up some additional rules that nobody else is playing. And final tip for people who want to start working on their own. Trying working in companies first to get experience is an excellent idea. So you can learn, for example, how to manage a team, how to manage clients, how to manage projects, how to talk with clients, maybe how to negotiate with clients, and a lot of things you can get from experience of other people. So, and even the more companies, the better, because you have comparison. You can take some things from one company, which works great, and you can take some pieces from another one, and you know what you should avoid. You have comparison, so it's way easier for you to start if you have this knowledge. So if you want to work on your own, you can just know how to make images. And if you have your own business, you don't really need to know how to make images, but you have to understand the business. So to sum up, no matter what you want to do and where you want to get, setting your goal will be the most important step. And after that, you only need to follow your dream, work really hard until you reach this. Thank you so much for your time. If you want to stay in touch, learn about visualizations or animations, maybe find out more about business aspects of the art piece, I'd like to invite you to my YouTube channel, Art with Artist, and visit my website, artwithartist.com. Thank you so much. I hope you'll find some of these tips useful.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Agnieszka. That was amazing. And I already noticed, and same actually with Tsvetan, is that there's already a lot of questions. So I'm looking very much forward for us to get going with the discussion panel for last. But without stalling anymore, I think it's time for us to listen to what Abdul has to share with us today. So Abdul, take it away.
Hi there. Just give me a second to share my presentation. So if you let me know when you can see it. Oops.
We can see the PDF now.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, you can. Sorry.
Yeah, we're seeing the PDF now. Yeah.
Okay. Let's make it full screen. Yeah. So thank you for inviting me to do this, and it's nice to meet everyone here. I think what I'll do in my presentation is just give you some pointers. So I might be repeating a lot of the stuff that Tsvetan has said and also Agnieszka said, except it will come from a different context, different perspective. I was going to call it VCR, referring back to the video cassette recorder, but the reference was actually a visual, using the visual cortex in representation, big word, and so I decided to change it to another big term, call it determination to representation. And so what do I mean by determination to representation? what I mean by this is to have a determination to represent things visually. I mean that the decisions we make about forming values, to know how to use light, the right combination of light, texture, scale, and form to visualize an architectural scene, are informed both by technical know-how and the experience of understanding the environment in which we work. So to give you an example, I probably have to manage about 50 different digital processes that I have to understand, teach, support, and also constantly refresh. So there's quite a lot that goes on, in terms of sort of technical knowledge. So as part of my job, I'm involved in a number of different disciplines, which means I'm constantly learning and challenging myself. I suppose the thing that I'm good at is learning and knowing how to learn, but then also teaching that skill to somebody needs knowledge and empathy and an ability to communicate. Teaching helps reinforce the knowledge I've gained. So every time I teach somebody something, I'm always learning and I'm always reinforcing what I've learned. As visual communicators, we all have a responsibility to keep learning and imparting knowledge and know-how, sharing with our audience, and the world our beliefs and values. How do we acquire insight and evolve and inspire with what we know, using the skills and tools that we have, pushing our own boundaries? What does this mean to what does it mean for the art that the visualizer creates? The output of the work of the visualizer contains layers of feelings, knowledge, and knowledge that underpin the skills learned and the development of the visual form for the next iteration. So it's kind of like saying what Tsvetan was saying earlier as well, is constantly making observations, looking at things, taking in the world, and learning from being present in the world as well. Although sounds are our most dominant sense, looking and seeing helps us understand the world we inhabit and create the world in our mind's eye, as yet unrealized. Sound, on the other hand, enables our mind to engage our feelings and emotions. It's a rhythm of patterns. Our grasp of these emotional patterns become acute when the audio engages a utility in the world, such as an event. Similarly, the right combination of visual cues can also make a visual scene palpable, make it tangible. Have you ever seen a visual scene that disgusts you, or a visual scene that gives you, scares you of heights, for example? These things make the visual representation palpable, that make it tangible, that make it real. A rendered scene has elements that communicate and engage our senses for us to interpret scale, atmosphere, and light. At the very basic level, our brains only need light to make sense of visual content. Skill, knowledge, and insight in the development required to train what could be referred to as having an eye. Training an eye is a combination of core values and references to sources. I've noticed that there is a marked difference between visualization created between two people in different parts of the world. So we're constantly learning about the world, and we're constantly trying to represent that world. And visual psychology talks about understanding the world through textures, light, and form, but also by engaging and touching the world and understanding that the world that you inhabit has an action, that you're able to do things in the world, and taking that knowledge on as part of your visual skills is important. When we consider the world around us, we try and represent it. Sorry, I've already said that. So another form of representation is photography. but not all photographs are equal, and not all visual representations are tangible or palpable. As well as learning to see, students also have to get to grips with an array of digital tools, which have which have been changing and evolving as new technologies give the designer and the user closer access to imagined realities. So a lot of students where I work at the moment are trying to engage with VR and AR, and learning new tool sets that are used in those domains. Again, it's a challenge to look at and to learn to see the world that you're in, and also to try and represent it using these tools. So what tools and steps do I believe make learning become effective? The first thing I would say is peer learning. So I have this thing where, like I said, if you learn something and you teach it to somebody else, then it reinforces what you've learned. And so that's a good way to learn a new skill and to continue learning. Understanding light and also playing with these elements in the real form makes a difference to the knowledge that we understand. So again, knowing about light, knowing about scale, knowing about form, sort of physically inhabiting that is a good way to sort of reinforce some of your skills. And in terms of what I'd say in terms of what to take from this, I'd say, continually reassess what you know, continually try and learn, continually try and share the knowledge that you have. And you will start to build a network. People, you'll begin to build relationships with people that you trust, and that's only a good thing. That's it. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Abdul. That was great.
Thanks.
All right, so we already have a lot of great questions, and I'm hoping maybe some of you guys also have a few questions individually to each other, maybe from some of the things that we talked about so far. I actually had one thing that I wanted to kind of add on top of what Agnieszka said on her presentation. She was talking a little bit about why studios sometimes fail, or at least why some studios fail, because obviously there can be a million reasons. So one of my experiences is, and it's probably a good tip for you guys to take with you as well, if you at some point in your life choose to go the freelancer or making your own art studio route, is that I've seen quite a lot of studios end up, not working out because they end up having too many eggs in the same basket, meaning they rely on too few clients, maybe even only one client, to get them all the work. It could be a huge client and they keep them occupied for so long, and then just all of a sudden they stop giving you work. They end up getting a different contract or go into different, just different areas of work that is outside of your expertise, or a competitive company goes in and, outbids you basically, and then you're just out of luck. It's so hard to actually keep track on those things, but I've seen a lot of studios staying alive for way too long, considering that they only had a handful of clients in theory. It's hard because if you get more clients, you need to work more, and you might not have enough to get the right amount of employees for it. So obviously it's a thing, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind also as just a freelancer. You can get really fast, very, you can feel safe because, oh, I chose the freedom part, but I have this one client giving me all the work and I have the freedom as well. That gives me both safety and freedom. But guess what? At some point, they'll probably stop giving you all that work as they did before. And yeah, you're back at to not having safety and only, well, now you have a lot of freedom because they stopped giving you work as well. So that's great. Anyway, so actually this question is probably a little bit more to all of us, but I guess we can start with Tsvetan. We were asked which software you used most of the time for creating visualization. So you can talk, I guess, out from Redvertex's perspective on what they use or what you use.
Yeah, not most of the time, all the time. We are using the combination of 3ds Max and V-Ray. We have 15 years of experience with V-Ray, and as far as I can see it, we will not change it anytime soon. So basically it, and also we are using Photoshop. So these are the three tools that I think everybody is using, except that they maybe are using Corona instead of V-Ray, but you know, 3ds Max, V-Ray, and Photoshop. Keep your technology stack, as I said, very like limited to some degree, so you can learn quicker, and also you can get on board new people very quickly because you don't have 10 different software that you might use. I mean, from time to time we are using Revit or SketchUp or whatever, but this is just in terms of us taking the models or cleaning the models before we import it in Max and then start the actual work. Also on the topic that you touched, I want to add something else. If you're a freelancer and you're only working for one client, you don't have the freedom, like you are basically an employee to somebody, but without any of the benefits that a full working contract will give you. So it's not really a freedom, isn't it? I mean, you're stuck with somebody and their demands. So definitely try to get a few clients outside of this realm, so you are safe. So you have freedom and safety, basically. And also in the realm of outbidding, you cannot compete on the basis of the price only, because there will be always a guy that will do it cheaper. It will be not as good as you will do it, you know, but it will be cheaper. So if the price is the only thing that will compare you against the others, it's not a good choice. You have to be very good. You have to do very good service for your clients, so they will reach to you not because you are cheap, but because you provide good service and you remove a lot of their headaches out of the way. So yeah. I would say compete on service, not on pricing.
That's a good point, actually. Having you can offer having a style compared to having, people pay you for doing the kind of work you do and not the, work that anybody could do probably.
Yeah.
Well, Agnieszka, I think a lot of us have seen your videos from time to time, or at least stumbled upon them. So I'm guessing you're mostly V-Ray and 3ds Max. You also use Corona, right?
Actually, I use both. I did lots of videos comparison. I just like more my images from Corona, but it's just my personal choice. But I basically use both, so it depends on the project or what I need to do. So it all has pros and cons. So yes, as I said, I just use Corona more, but V-Ray as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just one tip that I think may be also important. It depends on the different offices, because in different offices there are different approaches, but I feel that trying to do the most work in 3D is easier, from the point that if clients change his mind, it's easier to change. It's easier to change in 3D, while if you try to Photoshop everything later on, every mask, and it just adds lots of work, and sometimes it's just not worth it. But sometimes it has to be done this way. So it depends, but I think it might might be a good tip if you start, for example, freelancing, and you haven't worked in an office before.
It's definitely a destructive versus non-destructive workflow. You know, the destructive workflow is usually always faster and quicker for a quick fix or a solution like that. But it'll bite you in the butt if they change their mind later on and you need to redo all of it. I'm sure all of us have tried that at least once. But you know, that's how you learn it. That's, you know, it's part of the I guess kind of an initial that you'll get into the 3D industry. You have to burn yourself from time to time. Abdul, what do you primarily teach at the university in terms of like software while we're still at it?
Oh,
well, yeah, okay, it's broad, I know, but let's keep it to visualization.
I think that the main things is the V-Ray. So we have all the different phases of V-Ray. And we use V-Ray in different workflows. So Rhino, SketchUp, 3ds Max, Maya, and then we have Arnold as well. So we run it. I'm kind of linked to architecture and product, which is my area. But then I also work with another department, which is character animation. So we have a character animation course, and in that we've used V-Ray, we've used Arnold, and we've also used Unreal. So there's a lot of Unreal being used as well. We also have Cinema 4D. A lot of people use Blender, and then the Blender render engine.
It's definitely, we see a lot of people getting into Blender or getting into 3D through Blender because of the free approach, and probably also all the content online. Like there's, if you thought there was a lot of videos online on YouTube, like Agnieszka's videos, and even the ones I've done, and you know, there's, for Blender, there's like 10 times as much, I feel like. And now, since at 24 Hours of Chaos, not that long ago, Vlado even talked about that they're actually making a new version of V-Ray for Blender as well. So that might even be a even faster and better introduction for especially I think the young generation getting into 3D. So they can start off, you know, a lot younger through YouTube videos and so on, which is a great way to start. I'd still recommend at some point paying for classes, not because you need to pay for it, but you'll get a mentored course somehow. There's a lot of different great ways to do that, but at least a mentor will make sure that you get into the business in a good order. Basically, it'll be way more efficient, but it'll cost you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's all. The other thing as well is just curating your learning sources. So you know, if you get bad learning sources, your curation is not going to be good, and your references won't be good, and you know that stumpers your development, your progress. Whereas if you've got good things to refer back to and you continue to add to them, then it just means as you learn, you develop and you get better. But also the other thing we've seen is there used to be like a traditional route into 3D where you like Tsvetan was saying, you know, you come from an architectural background or you come from like a 3D background. Now we've got people from fashion backgrounds, people from graphic design backgrounds. There's a lot of people in the graphic design background, you know, picking up 3D tools and using those as part of the workflows, and then getting interested in sort of visualization as well. It's interesting because you see different outputs and sharing of skills, which is quite useful.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Tsvetan, I think we'll start with you on this one because it kind of makes the most sense since you're the company guy here of all of us, I think. So this is a two for question. So
Okay.
What's the very first thing you notice about a candidate in an interview? And the follow-up I can kind of mix into that is, are you hiring as Redvertex people remotely, or do they need to be located at one of your offices?
Yeah, I will answer the second question first because it's easier. No, we are not hiring remote people. We have for very, very special past employees, or not past employees, but people that we have worked a lot of time, years with them, and they relocate. Then we can talk and individually set them up to work remotely. But the majority of the work we do, you do have to be in the office. This is important for us because you see the scale of the projects that we are working on. The only way, or the quickest way to tackle these projects, and we got confirmation for that during the pandemic, where we do have to go and split and work remotely. We as managers were staying in the office, and basically we were controlling all the processes. It was very hard because when you are in a team and you sit on a desk, you have very fast communication between people. There is a lot of meta communication that goes on. Did you save me that? Where is that? Guys, check this email, how we can discuss it very quickly and make a decision. So it's important for us to, everybody's on the same page. We don't do 100 video calls during the day and waste time. So yeah, it's important for us, and we are doing only in office, in person work. That's how you get stuff done. Maybe we also have the option, if you're after hours or you want to check your render, we do have the option where you log on from home and work on your office computer. But this is we tend not to overdo this. And also working on the office, it will give you focus. You don't have the kids picking on you and stuff like that. That will spoil the working atmosphere. And for the second question, what is the first thing that I'm thinking? It's different. I would say that if I have to choose one thing, it's the attitude. If the person overly confident without having the proof to it, is his portfolio good compared to what he's bringing into the interview? If he's overly confident and the portfolio, it's not worth it. I mean, there is obviously first of all an ego problem, which will pan out in the future, which will clash with rule number or advice number 2 and 3, to be a team player and to be kind. And also there is maybe a problem with self-awareness. Where is the candidate compared to his attitude? There is, I would say, a lot of the people that have presented themselves with the most amazing portfolios are actually very I wouldn't say shy, but they don't brag about themselves and stuff like that. And what other thing that I'm noticing, and I hate in CVs, is showing the skills with some sort of scale. Like, I do Photoshop, my Photoshops are 4 out of 5, or my 3ds Max are 7 out of 10. What does this even mean? First of all, I'm working in this field for 15 years as well, and I would say my 3ds Max are 3 out of 10. And the best people in the office may do have 5 out of 10. And there is a guy coming with 1 year of experience, knowing Max, now 9 out of 10. What is this? I mean, if you have it in your resume, just remove it. Say that you are using 3ds Max in your projects and that you're using whatever software you're using. We will check out what you have done. We will check you out with a test job. I mean, we have our own ways to test you.
Yeah, so you want people to stop grading themselves in their own cover letter,
Yeah,
and they can talk about which software they use or are
exactly.
proficient with,
Yeah.
And then the showreel or portfolio can speak for itself, and you can
Absolutely.
you can judge what they're good at, basically.
Yeah, and at the very least, if you want to grade yourself and your skills, and have some very basic skill set with some program, say that you're a beginner at something or you're intermediate with something. I mean, don't put expert. Just don't put expert unless you're having like 20 years experience of the software that you're using. And most of the software that we are using are not around for 20 years. So, I mean, you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, Tsvetan, I'll end this with a quick question. You can only answer basically yes or no. So, which do you prefer? A cover letter, a sleek cover letter, or a rich portfolio?
Is it for me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I would say yes, both. I mean,
well, if you had to choose one of them, sorry.
Yeah, a good portfolio is a great start. But there is the thing with portfolios. It could be stolen, or the person that he's done the portfolio may have the time to do a single project in the portfolio for 3 months or 4 months. Usually we have 3 days or 3 weeks. So it's a good starting point, but I wouldn't say it's a great measure overall for the skill. Like we want to see the portfolio, but if a person can come with a great cover letter that is a way for him to present himself in words, which for people that are doing artistic things, or especially in our own field where you're better with images, not with words, shows a lot of hidden talent to express yourself. And you can plug this into your RVs projects and the process and create great stories, because this is what we do. We create stories. Another cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, question for Age. This is from Radican. I'm saying the name of who asked this question just because of the end of the question, I guess. So, can you throw some light on how to start off as a freelancer, as it's really not talked about much? Also, love the courses that you provide. I'm currently learning from you, and it's been great so far.
Okay, that's awesome to hear. I'm really happy. Okay, so it's actually similar as with a full-time position, as I said. So you need to work on your recognition. So posting on social media, Behance will be great for that. LinkedIn probably as well, because companies look there as well. There is plenty of options. Instagram is quite hard because they're changing algorithm all the time, and you need to be keep watching what they're doing. So it's really hard, but it's worth it to post there as well. There are also some portals where you can be a freelancer. So for example, it's something like freelancer.com, or there are different kinds of this sort of things. So you are basically connected with clients. If they like your work, they can ask you to do the job. So this may be a good starting point just to test yourself. And you can also try email some companies. But you need to be careful with that. But yeah, like if you want, you can try to work as a subcontractor. So for bigger companies, so you are one person, and you can ask if because sometimes they have lots of work, they don't have enough people to do that, and they are happy to give the work if your quality is in line with them. So I would say that these are the best choices to start with.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, for people who dream about going freelancer, I kind of feel like a lot, and I'm guessing, Abdul, you might have heard this as well from students from time to time, that it's not that uncommon for especially newer students to dream of, or at least wanting to become a freelancer, instead of dreaming of working for, the system, for a company like Redvertex or whatever, right? but I think that's a bit of a clouded judgment, or a people
No,
are
water off, please.
what? Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
So I was just going to say one other way as well. One other discipline where people are starting to use architectural visualization is in the performance industry. So it's another way to get into architectural visualization. So theatre designers, people designing, things, set design, which traditionally you didn't have those digital skills. It's only in the last maybe 4 years, I'd say 3 to 4 years, where students are beginning to recognize that they need to develop those skills if they want to work in those sectors. And a lot of those sectors, you get into them as a freelancer. There's no fixed term contract. There's no work. There's no like fixed work. You get into it through basically putting yourself out there, knocking on doors and asking and showing your work to people. And if you manage to knock on the right door, you could end up getting a really good career of it.
yeah. Actually, on the last show, you can all go and watch that on YouTube as well, on the Chaos TV YouTube channel. So the last Zero to Hero, Jake, actually talked about cold calling and how he managed through all of this via cold calling, and that could work for both the freelance part, but also for getting a job. It goes both ways, basically, as in to try and get in contact with companies, regardless if you're doing work for them or want to get hired by them.
I would just
sorry, yeah.
I would just add one more thing that came to my mind. Talking about LinkedIn, I think a good way can be trying to connecting with people from the industry, and it's just easier. And maybe with this connection, you can start something new. So not just so if you want to freelance, just don't connect with other 3D artists. Connect with people who you want your potential client to be. So maybe it's a developer or other company, but you need to be aware with who you want to be connected. This is, I think, important part, because I all the time see that people connect with, if I can say wrong people, but like not with your potential clients, and you should keep this in mind.
Yeah, for sure. It's, networking is everything in the end of it. And I can give that actually as an example, because I recently changed jobs as well, which I guess a lot of people know by now, because I announced it very loudly, as loudly as I could, at least. I got that job through LinkedIn. In theory, I got contacted through LinkedIn from CG Spectrum. So it definitely does work if you put in the work, but you need to get noticed. And that, Agnieszka talked about it. I know even Tsvetan talked a bit about it as well. Getting noticed is kind of the hard part. Everyone can put in the time and work to actually get good at visualization or 3D. It's just a matter of time and doing it enough. But the getting noticed and doing the legwork on trying to be on social media or through challengers like student rendering challenges or just normal rendering competitions in general are a good way to try and get noticed. Because even though if you don't win, judges will see your stuff, and more competitions are doing like random random chosen images for feedback sessions, live feedback sessions, and so on. So it's definitely we're all trying to help more students and more, not even just students, but just more people who wants to get in this business to get noticed easier. Yeah, trying to compete on the front page of ArtStation or something like that might be rather impossible for most people. So find your way into yelling through the crowd and get yourself noticed. And competitions could be a good way. The Chaos student reel, if you apply for something like that, could be a good way. There's a million good ways.
Yeah. Use all of them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, just go nuts.
If
I mean, only time is what keeps you from doing everything at once, I guess.
Yeah, if I can jump in also, because I have been freelancing before joining Redvertex, and actually cold calling them is the way that I joined the company. I just put up the portfolio and went with it. The only thing that I regret is that I was actually done with the portfolio maybe 6 months before I actually submitted that. But it's my mistake,
I think
basically.
that's a pretty valid point, because I can't remember if it was you, Tsvetan, or which one of you mentioned it, but you talked about the fact that a lot of maybe new students or young people wanting to get into this business, they're shy. I think the correct term is introverted. And I think, to be fair, like 80 to 90% of all people doing 3D have a tendency of being introverted more than extroverted. It's a pretty normal trait in our business, I feel like. So just, it's hard to cold call. It's hard to get yourself to do that and try to put attention on yourself.
Yeah.
Just remember that we're all in the same boat. Like, everyone's having trouble doing that. So it's pretty normal to feel uncomfortable to try and sell yourself and get attention on demand, basically, and demand attention to you. But it's a barrier people
It
need
gets
to.
easier when you
Yeah,
try more and
it
more.
does get easier. Exactly. I'm betting that Agnieszka was nervous the first probably year or first many times that you wanted to do YouTube videos and so on, like getting the spotlight on you. It's nerve-wracking to some degree, right?
Yeah, it is. It's something new. If you don't do, if you haven't done something before, it's always maybe a little bit scary, but I think you just have to do it and keep going. And after a few times, it will become easier with everything. It doesn't matter if it is YouTube video, posting your work, or calling to companies. It doesn't matter. It always works like that.
By the way, I want to add to Agnieszka's advice on posting on the internet. I would say that using a combination of all the social medias will have the greatest impact because, for example, LinkedIn, it's not built for representing your portfolio. They have some tools, but they are all lacking, for example, what a Behance portfolio can show up. And also using Behance, it's first of all, it's very easy because you're not setting up your portfolio site, you're using somebody else's platform, and it's very easy to set up. And also your portfolio will look very nice because you have the grid of your projects in your profile, which helps a lot of with the presentation. So I would suggest use LinkedIn as a general, like as a skeleton for your presence or online presence, because it's a professional network. So you are supposed to contact professionals via this network rather than, for example, Facebook. And also like link your Behance portfolio to your LinkedIn account, because then you will have the ability to represent your projects in detail with high quality, high-res images and so on. And also Instagram, it's useful for like challenges, and you will have also the grid for your images. And I would say, and I tell this to my students, when they start, they can use the fact that in Instagram, the images are squashed. So you can do a render which is 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, basically. And when you post it, it will look fine. You will not be able to zoom it in. So even if it's not the perfect render, which at the beginning, I guess you will not do perfect renders anyway. So you can use this as an advantage and a sort of like mini portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so actually there is a question here, but I want to try and answer it with a different question. Agnieszka, before you started doing Akvis stuff in general, what is your background for doing Akvis? Do you have a relevant background for doing the 3D stuff you do, or?
Yeah, I was studying architecture, so yeah, it's it's as typical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, yeah. So
Sveten,
this.
you're from engineering, right? Or what was your background?
Well, my background is actually engineering design,
Yeah. Okay.
which is in my particular case, it means that I have been studying furniture design with interior design.
Okay. And
And
Abdul, I know you're an actual architect, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I did computational architecture, so
Yeah.
parametric design.
Okay, so I chose to ask this question because one of our attendees here asked if if you don't come from an architecture background, but you have the interest in doing architectural visualization, whether or not you can still get into the business. And apparently all of you are not qualified to answer this correctly because you're all with an architectural background. However, I can tell that I come from like no background in terms of architectural visualization or architecture in general. I don't have a university degree in any of that or have started it or anything. And for sure, you can get into 3D visualization, ArcVis, product, whatever, without being an architect. There's a lot of studios out there. They might want to have a few architects as well, but there's a lot of studios who have dedicated people who actually don't know anything about architecture per se, but they do know how to visualize architecture through CAD drawings or whatever.
What's your background, by the way?
Oh, sorry?
What's your background?
The person didn't say. It was just more of
No, your background.
Oh, my background. Well, my background is directly to 3D. So I come from basically elementary school into 3D and just being interested in 3D in general. And then I ended up doing freelance as a photographer and as many different things. So graphic design.
In different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, by the way, we have a lot of successful people here in the offices where they have been studying, like, for example, English literature or whatever, or aerospace engineering. But they do share, and we all share the interest and the love for the visual aspect of our work. Whether or not you can read drawings, I mean, obviously it helps, but when you teach yourself how to do it and how to understand the input information that you have, it's a good starting point. What architecture and design background will help you, as I said, they will help you when you are filling up gaps, when you are supposed to have a blank box in SketchUp and some three different random references for the building that you are supposed to do from the ground up, basically. So you have only the massing model and you have three completely different images. One is a skyscraper and you have a 3-story building. So you have to convey this and do this design on top of the massing that you have. So understanding of how the architecture will work, or at least the design will work, will help you, but it will not save you.
A lot of companies tend to want a visual style and people visualizing a mood more than an actual engineered piece of building or equipment or whatever. So having a good flair for design might be more of a benefit, I feel like, at most companies. Obviously, there are some companies who will only hire you as a 3D artist if you have an architectural background. That's, and good for them. They should do that.
Just if I could add to that, I mean, although I come from an architectural background, it's not the architectural background that got me interested in visualization. It's actually my appreciation for cinema. So, I'd say develop a real love for cinema because there's some incredible work that happens in producing those images that you see on the screen. And if you just learn a small, portion of the techniques and the skills used in that, it really enhances the work that you do.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that all that connects all the people that are interested in ArcVis or any of the parallel routes that you can go, is that we have the artistic in ourselves, and whatever you are studying or whatever the path you are going, you will always be drawn to this artistic part of your character, let's say, whatever you're doing. So at the end, we are actually exploiting this part of ourselves, the artist in us, basically.
Yeah.
So this is
all right. I have a actually interesting question here, and I want to start with you, Agnieszka. So this is Theo from Chaos Campus. He's a regular. What is your advice for the times when things are not going how we want them to? Meaning general downtime situations when stuff doesn't work out the way we imagine it would, or times of low motivation and etc.
Yeah, it can definitely come. Like, first of all, I would say that if you think about timelines in general, like if you work in company, the manager will do that job for you. But if you are on your own, you think about it. So, for example, finishing with time will be the issue. I always say that adding this couple days, additional days for situations that can come is really good. So let's say you say that you will do image in 2 weeks. So just add these 2 extra days for different kind of situation that can come, like PC maybe stop working, or I don't know, licenses can be an issue. It happens sometimes. So lots of things can happen. So this will be for sure an advice. And for losing motivation, I think it's always good to sometimes step back, think about things, what you really like in this job. Maybe just take a couple of days off and try to rethink why you lose this motivation. So I would say that deep thinking about yourself and what happened and in what moment it happened. So you can be clear what is the reason for that, because the reason will help you to maybe give your motivation back, or maybe change your direction, because it can be both.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of the advices people usually get, and we've also been giving them through this show, is, you need to work hard, you need to, put in the work. That's the general something you will hear a lot. But I will also want to mention that even though that we're all saying, you need to really put in the work and work hard if you want to, get your dream job, basically, like Aga said. I mean, just remember not to burn out. Take care of yourselves as well. It's actually important to take time off and not do 3D for, once in a while, and be a little bit mindful of your own health, and just because you can, especially if you're starting off young, if you don't have experience with working a lot, basically, you're trying to get into this and you're trying to put in a lot of hours. Some of you guys might not actually know how it feels to when burnout starts to happen. So, you really need to be careful, because when it hits, or if it hits, it can be disastrous for quite a long time to get over that bump again. And you'd rather not go over that, that bump. So, I just implore people to take care of themselves as well, because it's, I mean, we see it on everything from YouTube channels to anything else, that people need to announce that they need to stop what they're doing because they just can't keep it up. They can maybe keep it up for a few years, but after that you'll get stress.
Yeah,
I would add that sometimes finding a hobby outside of work will be helpful. It can be connected with the job, for example, photography, but it can be something totally different, maybe exercising or whatever. It can be what you like, but just having these little things after hours, that when you can just reset your mind and take power to keep going later.
Yeah. Do you actually, Tsvetan, do you have any, what measurements do you use, or what do you do anything at Redvertex to try and keep your employees, you know, safe from losing motivation and also from burnout? Like,
Yeah.
are you protecting people in terms of not working too much as well?
Yeah. Obviously, we do this. We don't want people to burn out. We want to have a healthy and long relationship with everybody on the team. So we are not like rushing everything to be done and people to be burned out after the 6th month and they leave, which is, I mean, it's not beneficial for anyone. It's usually the task of each team's manager to monitor the people that he's working with and to set some boundaries, like we are not today, or we are like leaving on time today. And there are obviously times where you need to put the hours, when you need to do some urgent work. But outside of these instances, we all tend to push people to leave on time, to have a rest, to work on their hobby, you know, and to obviously have time for their families, because a lot of us have children and people to care for. So I mean, balance is super important. So basically, each of the team leaders will be tasked with monitoring his people.
Yeah. Abdul, in your field, since you're educating people at or students at the university, what is your experience with your alumni? Do they end up in Akvis or stay in Akvis, or do you more see students or alumni going using it as a stepping stone into other industries within like the 3D industry itself?
It all depends. So you'll get some students that are very strong at architectural visualization, and they'll focus on that as part of their you know, their portfolio. But in architecture, the students have to basically do a number of units to be qualified as architects, and they have to demonstrate a whole range of skills. And you'll get some who don't do the media element. They just do, you know, they'll focus on the technical elements in architecture. You'll get some who do the media elements, and they're kind of used to doing it. They've had previous experience as well, so that they're able to develop those skills. But the one of the things which, you know, I forgot to mention as well is a lot of the contact time that you have with students is when they're doing these technical skills. The students spend a lot of their their contact time learning technical skills, as opposed to sort of learning you know, context and theory. And it just depends on the focus. Like some of them will focus on media, some of them will focus away, but all of them go away with different levels of understanding of media and across, you know, a range of different applications and software. It's a bit different though for people doing engineering and product design, where a lot of the focus is actually on digital tools and knowing that process completely inside out. But yeah, just again on that question of burnout, we you know, the architectural discipline is ruthless. Like, you know, you're not going to get any sleep doing that. And you know, depending on the institute you go to, some of them are really like intense. But ultimately it's a narrative. You're going to have the good with the bad. You have there'll be times where it's very difficult, very bad, and you just need to focus on yourself. Once you begin that journey of sort of focusing on yourself and healing yourself, then all the good comes as well. So you just have to be, I think you just need to accept that, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, so this is actually an interesting question, and I think we'll start with Tsvetan, but I think all of you might have something to say about this subject. So how do you see the future of ArcVis stills? Are they going to die out for the sake of VR, augmented reality, interactive walkthroughs, etc.?
No, I would say no. And I'll tell you why. We have a lot of projects ourselves that are related to VR. But you have to understand that most of the things that we do and we output as work in the ArcVis industry will came at the end. They are going to the architectural studio that may employ us for a project, but the architectural studio will show it to some decision maker. So some of these decision makers are in a way very traditional, very conservative. So they will not, for any reason at all, put a VR set on their heads. Like there is no way. And if you don't have the VR set, why you will have like maybe a 360 that you can play on the phone, but they don't want this. Basically, they want to see a traditional image. And also the thing that may die out in terms of stills is the low level, low quality images that people are going to do with different kind of tools, maybe with Enscape. Like architects can do it very quickly when designing and designing on the design stage, because you have a lot of stages. You have the concept design, where we are basically doing images and helping with the design, then the schematic designs usually, where we are also helping with some bits and pieces, and then it will come the detailed design, where we'll also be involved, and then there will be the marketing stage, where we are also doing these shoots where I show you with the models and the actors and stuff like that. Maybe the thing that will die out, it's maybe the stages between the concept and the schematic, where if you have the tools, you can like quickly generate images internally and not rely on a CG studio to do it. But the high-end images, the one that require a lot of thought out of just showing architecture and story, and involve storytelling and a lot of other stuff that you have to do with maybe an ad agency or organizing a shoot or organizing animation. This will still be pretty relevant, I would say. And also, I mean, you will have the VR media, but also you will have to do a lot of other stuff. You have to do billboards. You have to do online advertising for the projects, that it's just showing a picture on a phone or on a TV. So you cannot do this with the VR or completely with the VR sets. And also what we have found is that when you have images generated, for example, from Unreal, it's very hard to do the consistent output of post-production that we have. You have, at least for now, you have some limitations that you have to overcome. But having said all this, we are also having a really strong R&D team that is working on all sorts of combinations like VR and Unreal, see what will stick on the wall, basically, because we don't know. It's the short answer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, cool. What about you, Agnieszka? Do you have any thoughts on where we're going?
I think nobody knows the future perfectly, but if we say in terms of quite near future, like in 1,000 years, I would agree that I think stills will be still important, and of course there will be other options. Maybe we don't know about some of them yet, but I think stills will be a big part of ArcVis still.
Abdul, do you have any other thoughts on what has already been shared on that subject? Or is it much the same?
Not really. I mean, it's I think a lot of these tools are, you know, possibly they've actually maybe matured. They're not in their infancy, and people are still trying to discover their use. So, you know, I've seen them applied really well in things like animation. I've seen them applied really well in things like you know, AR construction. Still have to be convinced that they're useful tools for visualizing. Although I've seen big architectural practices, you know, using VR, for example, to give the client an immersive experience. That you know, potentially makes a difference to them. But yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day actually, and you know, he was saying to me that still images are still like they're the go-to thing for decision making, and you know, for agreeing on the outcomes of work.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you imagine that VR in a few years, let's say 5 years or 10 years, will be powerful enough to not make you easily tell the difference between you actually standing right next to the building that you ordered versus looking at a still image, then it starts making sense that VR might, or something like VR might take over, not all of it, obviously, because there will, well, not always, because that'll bite me in the butt if I say that. There will probably always be room for stills regardless of whatever. But yeah, the older medias like still photography and all of these things, just like architectures, they still use models, like real life models, doing small miniature models of buildings and so on. And that might get changed by VR or AR or something like that, unless they need to be able to feel it. And well, again, who knows what happens in just 10 years? We might be able to, you know, just feel it virtually and it'll be the same for us. So yeah. Okay, I want to jump a question a little bit because I actually think this is kind of fun and also good. So we were asked, how can we get clients really other than just being kind or hard worker? How can we show our kindness and hard work to them if we can't find the clients? Oh, rather than using social media and Behance, please. And I actually think that's a really good question and very, I don't know how old the person who asked this question, but for me, it sounds like someone who grew up very much using the internet. I'm assuming at least. Get out there, go into the real world and network at an actual event, meet people that way. That's a really good way to connect with people with kindness and your own personality as a trait all of a sudden. Meet the companies in person, not just, you know, meeting them online via LinkedIn or social media or whatever. Actual attend events. The D2 conference in Vienna. It could be FMX in, I think it's Stuttgart. It could be if we could nudge Chaos to do their Total Chaos event again from pre-COVID, hoping they will in 2023. You know, go to events like that and network with people. I don't know if any of you guys have any extra to add.
I want to ask, there was like a conversation that I had with one of my students last week, actually. He was not being present at some conference, and he was like, well, the conference, I know the topics, they will not be interesting. And I mean, man, you are not going for the exact topics in the lectures to the conference. You're going because A, you will meet people there where you can network. B, it's because the conference is in a very nice skiing resort, if you catch my point. So there is a lot of other stuff to do with conferencing and meeting other people. Yeah, doing stuff offline, it will not get out of fashion, definitely. And more people, like especially after COVID, they are craving for like real communication and seeing people offline.
I think a lot of us are going a little
Yeah.
bit insane from being all this online for
Yeah, definitely.
2+ years. I wanted to actually shout out some really great events for just socializing and networking as well. 3D Meetup London and 3D Meetup Athens and 3D Meetup New York. That at least is a bit spread out in the world. There are usually monthly events as far as I remember, and are for actually a lot of them is Archviz oriented, but not necessarily only. 3D industry in general could be a good way to see this. I know the game business side of things also has a lot of these kind of meetups, usually Friday evening, go grab a beer with someone and so on. You know, look for events like that. There are quite a few out there. I'm betting all countries, or at least almost all countries, must have some personal events. I for sure, if Bulgaria doesn't have it, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, we do have.
Yeah, you're pretty big representative. I know London have, because they have 3D London. I don't know if are you aware of any local-ish events? Social events?
Yes, there are a couple, but they're maybe not so popular now. Actually, Motif Studio starts the new series of conferences in London. So I've already posted this today, so you can check this out. Yeah, so if you're from Poland, I think it will be worth to join it, because it will be series of the events, not just one.
I would also recommend downloading the Meetup app, because it can sort via location where you are and what you have in terms of options. So you might find some useful meetups.
Yeah,
I have done this in the past, before the plague, basically.
Use online social media and so on to find non-online events and attend to them. Actually go out and meet people. It'll also help with the whole, we talked about the being introverted and having a spotlight on you. Go with a friend if you can, or go alone and take the ultimate challenge and try and talk to people about, people you have never met. Go up to them and talk to them about something of interest. That's hard, but at least you could bring a friend and make it a little bit easier. And alcohol sometimes helps if you're if that's an option for you. So yeah, for sure.
I would add one more thing, if I can. These meetings are great, but I would also say that you need to think about what is your goal. So these events will be perfect for looking for finding people from your industry, like other CGI artists or other designers, etc. But if you want to look for clients, you need to go for events where your clients are. Because they are not particularly on these events. There are events for developers, for example, or from architects. So you should be there and talk with them as well, because they are your potential clients. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so people have been wondering how much experience do you need in order to begin at a company, which I feel like is kind of it's a bit of a fun question, because it depends obviously on how you versus a freelancer and so on. Some people might say you want to get experience by being a freelancer first. My advice would usually be, don't go freelance the first thing after your education. Start off by working at a company, get some experience from that, and then you can decide to go freelance early on. But that's just, my way of looking at things. But in terms of work experience before starting somewhere, I kind of wanted to ask you, Tsvetan, how do you prefer that they have any sort of experience, or like internships or something like that before applying for an actual job?
Yeah, it depends basically. If we're talking about the smaller international offices that we have currently, for them we prefer to have people with more experience, like at least a few years. It's if you want to have some exact measure for this, um, or we can also provide internship there as well. But we need to meet the people. So guess what? The people have to at least contact us, because otherwise we don't have to know that they exist. So first thing first, they have to contact us and say, I'm like a beginner, or I have a modest experience in what you do. Can you check my portfolio? Are you interested in me having an internship with you? Maybe we can have the spot, maybe we can have the computer available currently, and you can join. So again, reaching out is like the first step. As we speak for the Bulgaria office, for the Sofia office in particular, where we have a lot of like most of the workforce is there. And currently we have the situation where we are creating, and we have created as well as the Lighthouse Academy that I have mentioned, which is like paid way for people to get to know the basics of archviz in exterior or in interior form if they want. But it's like an evening course where you do 3 months course for the basics, and after completing the course you can apply for an internship where we will further develop your skill, and you can start as more like a junior position and start with working with the company. And what we are also doing besides this, we have put up from the ground up two educational labs in two major universities in Sofia, and one is in the University of Architecture, where we are covering basically the entire course of people that are studying architecture. We are showing them how to do archviz from the ground up. So we are showing the basic of 3ds Max. We are showing basics of lighting and camera composition, materials, and stuff like that. So these people can join us on a summer internship, and then if they like us and we like them, it's a two-way process. Obviously, they can start with working on the more junior positions. So I would say that it greatly depends on the situation. If it's a person that we know from the university or from our own academy, and we know what this person in particular is capable of, because when you are teaching somebody, you have like more deeper relationship with them, and you know them very well at the end of the teaching process. So for these people, we can say that the shortest amount is like 3-4 months, 6 months, I would say, from the very beginning to actually joining the company and start working on projects or helping the teams with some basic tasks at the beginning. And for people that want to start immediately without any internship, I would say at least 1 to 2 years at the very least. But also it depends on the people. There are people, and I love these people, are starting with, I have 10 years of experience, and you look at this person's portfolio and it's awful. Basically, this is a person with 10 years of 1 year experience, if you know what I mean. And there are people that are like, they're shy, usually modest, and they're like, I have 6 months or I have a year and a half of experience, and you have an amazing portfolio. So the years of experience, it depends on the person.
Yeah, I guess the experience also helps more with the internal communication skills within a company, how to deal with a client, stuff that you can't see in a portfolio. That is usually why a lot of companies will say minimum 3 years experience, blah, 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 right? I mean, because most people can do a pretty good portfolio if they just put in the time for it. But the actual experience, if you're finding it hard getting a job, because you feel like all the job applications require you to have some experience, try and get it as an apprenticeship, paid apprenticeship or internship. That's one way at least to sell yourself a little bit cheaper in the beginning, but for at least to get the experience so you can get a foot within, inside the industry.
Also, people have to be realistic. Like if you're starting a job, it's obvious that you will not get paid a lot of money, but you have to have the foot in the door, then build up. You cannot expect to have the salary or get paid if you're a freelancer the same amount of money that a senior guy will get. It's a no-brainer, but you have to put in your hours, because at the beginning you have a very steep hill to climb. Then I wouldn't say that it will plateau, but definitely the slope is a lot less steeper. That you just have to like refresh your skills, work on more like the business side of things, or mentoring younger colleagues, stuff like that are not necessarily connected to Max or to whatever software that you're using.
Yeah. All right. Do Age or Abdul have anything to add to any of that?
Not
Maybe
really.
not.
I think
Yeah,
everything
yes.
was, yeah, I totally agree. So I would not add anything else on top of that.
That's okay.
Not really. Not really. I mean, there's so many, like there's so many opportunity. The online world opens up so many opportunities for you to be able to network, gain experience, understand what skills you need, and enhance those. I mean, I think again, it's just a journey. So if you're not getting to where you want to get to, then use the time to kind of improve on what just take off the things that you're missing, and just improve on those things and make yourself stronger.
All right. And I think with that, I'd like to say thank you to Tsvetan, Agnieszka, and Abdul for joining me on Zero to Hero, and hopefully all of you guys who've attended as well. There's a lot of you guys. Hopefully you got something out of it, and you feel like you got your questions asked. I at least try to get through all of them, or at least most of them. But yeah, for now, I will hopefully see you all later, and thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.